When you think of a bucket list, you probably think of a map with pins in it. But some of the most life-changing experiences don't require a passport. They require a no. Today, we're exploring why the ultimate bucket list luxury in 2026 isn't travel, it's the power of withdrawal. This is the art of the opt-out. Hello, dreamers, believers, and bucket list retreaters. Welcome back to Bucket List Retreats, the podcast. I'm your hostess, Kelly Morgan Murley. And if you are new here, please welcome in. This is a place where we talk all about retreats from the inside out, not just where we go, but who we become when we finally give ourselves permission to leave the world behind. Thank you again for joining me today. I hope you have your tennis shoes on and you are out hoofing it somewhere. That is what I wanted to do so bad. We have had high winds here. I don't have a wind gauge, so I'm not quite sure how windy, but I'm going to guess between 30 to 50 miles per hour, just almost constant, and then big old gusts for like the last 4 days. And I am over it, but it says it's going to continue on for the next 2 days. So I'm not getting my walking in. It's driving me nuts. But I do have my yummy mushroom coffee, and today I've made it hot with a little foam on top. I don't think you can see it if you're on, oh, maybe you can see it there in the camera if you're joining us on YouTube. Thank you for joining us on YouTube. And if you would subscribe to the show, you would get a notification every time we post, and it really helps out the channel, and we thank you so much for that. So yes, back to my mushroom coffee. I will put a link in the show notes like I always do. I have no affiliation with Amazon, so I will not be getting any type of a kickback if you purchase the coffee. It's expensive though. It's like $36 for 30 packets, but I use a half a packet for a big old mug of coffee. This is my biggest mug. I just got it, or I got it a few weeks ago at the Visitor Center in Sholo, Arizona, which is the bigger town next to us here. And when we go over there for doctor's appointments or whatever, the Visitor Center has the best restrooms. So remember that on your travels. If you're looking for a great restroom, of course, I would say hotels. Yay! If you can get in. Sometimes they won't let you in, but if you just ask nicely, tell them you're a member. Be sure to be members of all the hotel chains. It's handy for when you need it at the last minute. Okay, mushroom coffee, hot with a little whipped half and half. We also are getting ready to go home this summer on a trip, and home is Alaska, and you never know what the weather's going to be up there. It's usually chilly and rainy. That's one of the reasons we moved to this state, Arizona. Sunshine. It will be 40 years this year. Unbelievable. We cannot believe it's that 40 years already. But yes, we left Alaska in 1986, 2 vehicles, 2 kids, and a dog. And I followed my husband all the way out of Alaska, through Canada, all the way through Idaho and Nevada. And then we actually left the truck or the car at my grandparents' house in Idaho. And we all jumped in the truck and then went out to Wyoming via, where did we go? Oh, I guess, okay, just from Idaho into Wyoming. And then when we got there with his brother and their family, they said, hey, let's go to Mount Rushmore. And so we did. And we drove over to South Dakota and then back, and then eventually down through Nevada to Arizona. It was quite the trip, and we were camping the whole way, true camping. I know a lot of people give a lot of RVers like myself a hard time, but let me tell you, I put in my camping shoes. I grew up camping, and then that trip, and then several others after that. So once we got to Arizona, we were like north, south, east, or west. It's so amazing here. You can go any direction you want to. There's roads everywhere. Unlike in Alaska where we had grown up, there was only so many roads. And unless, you're getting in a plane or going on a snowmobile, snow machine is what we call them, which we did a lot of snow machining, or, you would have to get back into the wilderness, or boats, of course, take you a long ways. So we did a lot of boating. My dad was a halibut captain, a halibut fisher boat captain. He had a fishing boat, the Dutch Treat, and he was Captain Morgan. And both my brothers became captains, so they were also Captain Morgans. So we had three Captain Morgans in the family. So I spent a lot of time out in Kachemak Bay, out of Homer, Alaska, fishing on a fishing boat with my dad. And then they also had the hut where they sold the fishing that my mom ran. And so I did a lot of time in there too. That was so fun, working right there on the boardwalk as the tourists came in and wanted to go out fishing. And then we would take them out fishing. It was a full 12-hour day. Like, they would get on the boat at 6 a.m. and they had to bring their own food. We were kind of like the cheaper boats, uh, because we didn't supply the food, but there was plenty of food around, that people that catered to the people fishing on the boats. So anyhow, they would not come back in until 6 p.m. that night, and just exhausted because they would go deep sea fishing, and it sometimes could be very, very rough. Not my favorite thing. And that's something that we're talking about doing when we're there. We're actually going to charter ourselves and, or, purchase charter trips and get some halibut, get some salmon to bring back. We see locals around here that go to Alaska and do that. Of course, every Alaskan we know usually brings back fish. So we are super excited to get some fish and bring it back. Nice, healthy, fresh caught fish instead of what you don't know is in the store. But we eat what is in the store because we just love fish. So that's what we're getting ready for. And I have to say, the prices of everything have just skyrocketed, as everyone knows. And that plays out in everything: the car rental, the hotels. The hotels in Alaska in the summertime are completely unattainable. So luckily, we have our best man. We're staying at his house. And we don't have to pay for somewhere to stay. Both of our parents have passed away, so they're we don't have our parents' homes to go to anymore. But luckily, we do have a really good friends. So we're really looking forward to that, and doing some fishing, seeing the beautiful state of Alaska. And of course, I am taking you all along with me so you can check out the beautiful Kenai Peninsula. A lot of people go on cruises to Alaska. I highly, highly recommend it. It is still a great way to see Alaska, but most of them don't go up to the Kenai Peninsula or up to Anchorage. Some do go to Seward. I would suggest that, because then you're really getting into Alaska. Let me know in the comments if you guys are making some summer plans and what they are. I can't wait to hear all about it. But before we disappear into the art of saying no, let's see what's making waves in the art of saying yes in retreat news and reviews. Okay, this article kind of is a carryover from last week's article where we talked about that crazy corporate retreat that they did down in Honduras. This article takes that one and actually talks to a lot of people like myself who organize retreats. Let's hear what they have to say about it. The article is by Kelly Rissman out of New York. Just yesterday, Monday, April 13th, 2026, as we are recording this. It says, crickets and karaoke, corporate retreat nightmares. As team building getaways grow in popularity, meet the intrepid organizers who battle swarms of crickets, medical emergencies, and accidents to keep participants happy. And it shows a picture of like four corporate people in their suits standing on top of a mountaintop with their hands in a prayer fashion. It's pretty funny. It says corporate retreats have become de rigueur, and some firms spend hundreds of thousands on getaways. For many, company retreats are a nightmare, even if they unfold without a hitch. Days on end of forced fun with your boss and colleagues who range from tolerable acquaintance to work nemesis. But corporate retreat planners like Andrea DeSant know that if such events aren't planned meticulously, they can turn into Fry Festival style disaster. Last week, the Wall Street Journal gave a detailed account of the tech company Plex's ill fated retreat in Honduras in 2017. If you haven't read that or heard about it, you can go back to last week's episode. We talk about it in detail. During the survivor-themed trip, the chief executive suffered from E. coli infection. The group had to participate in beach workouts with a former Navy SEAL, and one software engineer found a porcupine climbing in his shower. As you can tell, if it goes wrong, a lot can go wrong, says Desant, the founder and chief executive of AJ Event Productions. We try to anticipate every single thing that can go wrong and to have a plan in place for that. Now, that is some good planning, ladies and gentlemen. Corporate retreats are undoubtedly having a moment. The second season of Jury Duty, a series that plunges an unexpected non-actor into a setup scenario with actors, takes place on a company getaway. I just watched that series. It's absolutely fantastic. Next month, Corporate Retreat, a horror film centered around executives attending what becomes a fatal off-site trip, will be released. And I tell you, the picture of the woman's face on this article talking about this new movie is scary and a face you never want to see as a retreat host. The renewed interest has cast a spotlight on real retreats and those who plan them. Whether it's a punctured raft in a lake in Kazakhstan, colleagues overindulging at an open bar on a tropical island, or half the team getting stuck at O'Hare Airport in Chicago, company retreat planners say they have seen it all. At an event planned by Maria Jose Herrera Canelos in Ecuador in 2024, one participant left her hotel room's door ajar. When she returned that evening, crickets had overtaken it. The woman's worst fear. She spent all night trying to sweep the crickets out, but some were still hopping around the room the next morning. Canelos ended up having to organize a new room for her. It is very important to have clarity of who is coming because you're not going to take people to a jungly place when they are terrified of bugs, said Canelos. The founder of the LA-based retreat planning boutique Aventura Vida Consulting. Companies spend anywhere from tens of thousands to $500,000 depending on the size, location, and duration of the trip. Planners begin months or even a year in advance to organize the trip, handling everything from working around business budgets to managing dietary restrictions, crafting team building exercises, and dealing with unexpected problems. A guest of a retreat Canelos planned in Greece listed a severe peanut allergy on her intake form. Before the trip, Canelos spoke to the team's private chef to make sure that her food was cooked separately and that each dish was assigned a name tag. In traveling, anything can happen. There are a lot of inconveniences and accidents, Canelos said, noting that she always ensured her guests stayed a short drive from a hospital or clinic in case of an emergency. That is also very good advice. This became one. Despite Canelo's careful planning, the woman had allergy symptoms. We were able to drive her really quickly, she said. Doctors gave her an allergy pill and the rest of the retreat continued seamlessly. Of course, you do have to be self-aware, and if you are traveling and have a peanut allergy, I would think that you yourself would carry an allergy pill. That's what I would suggest to anyone that on the intake form it said, I have a peanut allergy. I would ask, what are we going to do about that? So that the retreat can make sure that they have covered all the ends they can, and she has covered all the ends that she can, if that makes sense. Mirage Delavari, The chief executive of the corporate retreat planning company Flock said his job prowess was tested in 2008 when he was a coordinator. A group of high-level auto company executives wanted to go from Whistler, British Columbia, to a karaoke bar 2 hours away in Vancouver. It was 2:30 a.m., and Delavari needed to quickly find them a bus. I did it, and they went right back in session the next morning giving keynote speeches, he said. Wow, that is pretty impressive. But even the most meticulously planned logistics cannot prevent problems posed by the weather, as with this winter's snowstorms that led to nationwide flight cancellations. Coordinating transportation for hundreds of people is a constantly moving puzzle that you are trying to adjust, Delavari said. At Flock, Delavari said they mostly plan retreats for tech companies, ranging in size from 25 to 800 people. For the 800-person retreat, his team coordinated flights to Miami, Hawaii, from 13 global offices. Because there were 800 people, moving them around to different excursions would have been a logistical challenge. So Flock brought in the experienced to the resort. They set up a market so the team could speak to local artisans and buy souvenirs, installing stations featuring coconut cutting and shaved ice, and offering lessons on how to make glaze and learn to play ukuleles. The clients said to us that their engagement scores within the company went from the low 70s to the high 90s after the retreat. Everyone felt really connected to each other, and they told us productivity had gone up, Delavari said. Cheers. I'm clapping, just saying fantastic. Isn't that what you want a company retreat to do? While corporate retreats in the U.S. are taking off, in the Middle East, some company events have slowed down due to the war in Iran, according to Andrew Ashley, a product manager at Red Rock International. The UK-based company typically works with a variety of firms in the region, including oil and gas companies, banks, and universities. We feel fortunate to be safe, but still our lives are very affected. Our company won't survive for that long, really, if this war was to continue for that long, he said. His team is now providing online workshops such as helping leaders manage their departments during times of crisis. Even before the war broke out in February, Red Rock had transitioned from arranging outdoorsy retreats to offering team-building activities at five-star hotels. These days, it's very conservative here in the Middle East and very corporate, Ashley said. So there isn't much of an appetite for the more adventurous-based activities in country. Isn't that interesting? Our favorite Egyptian guide, Mo, who was on the podcast a few episodes back, if you check out our episodes, was just on Facebook saying the exact same thing. It's put such a horrible burden on all of these people that are just waiting to show us all the world. They're all just sitting there twiddling their thumbs right now. All of that knowledge, all of that time, all of that space just going to waste. Of course, that's nothing compared to the families that are actually enduring the war. So it's not to belittle that at all. We're just saying it's a side effect and it hurts a lot of people globally. So let's pray for peace. I love that this is coming from people that are actually doing the planning for these getaways. And now for retreat reviews. Friends, the staff brought this retreat to my attention just as soon as they saw it because they knew it would be right up my alley. Right now on the top of my bucket list is to travel through some of the canals in Europe. And that is exactly what this retreat is. And it looks like several women have done it before and loved every minute of it. And I am talking about women of all ages. All right, let's go on over and share. This is the Ireland Canal Cruise put on by mahalosailing.com. Now, I do not know them and I haven't checked out their Instagram, so be sure to check them out and see what you think. But they must have done this before because they talk about it here. Let's dive into this so you can see what sailing a canal might look like in Europe. And this one is obviously in Ireland. It's called the River Shannon, Ireland, June 16th through 26, 2026. That's a lot of sixes. It's the sixth month of the 16th through the 26th in 2026. There's got to be some numerology involved in this, right? It says booking now open, and the price is $3,975 per person with a deposit of $1,100 non-refundable. It seems like the price is right in there. 16 through 26. It's a 10-day retreat for $4,000 on a boat. Let's read what else it has to say. Come cruise the River Shannon. We are heading back to Ireland. This will be our second adventure cruising the River Shannon. After falling in love with its beauty and welcoming spirit the first time, we knew we had to return. Imagine glassy waterways winding through green, grassy hills, ancient castles perched along the banks, cozy village pubs with live music, and friendly locals who make you feel right at home. We really can't wait to share this place with you. It sounds divine. It's so on the top of my bucket list. This trip captures the very best of slow travel, where each day unfolds at the rhythm of the river. We'll explore charming towns and historic ruins while taking in the timeless Irish countryside from the comfort of our boats. We'll choose towns of interest for peaceful nights docked along the river. The evenings are for gatherings, storytelling, and enjoying hearty local fare paired with laughter and a pint or two. And then it goes on to show a map of the area. And then they say where we'll go. Our route will take us along the heart of Ireland's longest river, exploring highlights such as, here we go, Shannon, Alkee, Athlone, and Lough Derg, with plenty of hidden harbors and quiet mooring in between. Each stop offers its own charm, perhaps a visit into a centuries-old castle, a stroll through a colorful market streets, a stop at a thatched roof pub for a traditional Irish meal, or a chance to chat with locals along the quay. Expect rolling green landscapes, stone bridges, and that unmistakable Irish magic at every turn. It just sounds so lovely. What we'll do. Every day we'll bring something new along the river with a mix of cruising and relaxing and exploring. You can wander through historic villages, visit local museums, or simply enjoy a peaceful walk through the countryside. There will be opportunities for optional bike rentals. We'll organize group dinners some evenings, while other nights you'll be free to discover your own favorite pub or restaurant ashore. And of course, there will be delicious meals aboard, prepared by our crew, featuring local Irish ingredients whenever possible. What's included? 10 days lodging aboard in a shared cabin, a professional captain and crew. That's nice to know. I was kind of wondering about that. Assistance with land-based travel, meals on board, charter boat, and all related expenses with professional USCG licensed female captains and crew. Oh, how cool. Linens and fuel. What's not included? Airfare and hotels before and after the cruise, food and alcohol on land at restaurants, cafes, pubs, etc. Optional tours, excursions, or bike rentals. Any other personal expenses. Gratuity, traditionally 10 to 15% for your wonderful experience and our service aboard the boat with our captain and crew. So this just sounds like they have everything covered to me. It says, meet us there. We'll depart from Port Umna and return to the Shannon, exploring towns and villages along the Shannon and its connected lakes. Each day we'll make one or two stops to see the sights, sample local trees, or simply enjoy a beautiful view. On boarding day, we'll meet at the marina around 10 a.m. for orientation and meeting before enjoying our first day on the water. Expect tranquil cruising, friendly faces, and plenty of time to soak in the landscape and culture of this special region. Is this trip for me, you ask? This trip is ideal for those who love nature, history, and a relaxed pace of travel. You'll be living aboard a canal cruiser with a small group of fellow travelers sharing cabins with guests of the same gender of your travel buddy or spouse. It involves some walking, boarding steps, and light physical activity, as well as time spent cruising each day, typically 3 to 5 hours. Weather in Ireland ranges from 60 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit with a chance of rain, so a light jacket and sense of adventure are a must haves. That's exactly like what I'm dealing with in this Alaska trip I was talking about earlier. This isn't a cruise ship. It's an immersive boutique travel experience. Expect cozy cabins, camaraderie, and the joy of discovering Ireland from the water's edge. You will be asked to lend a hand from time to time. It's all part of the fun and the spirit of Mahalo Sailing Adventures. I would like to know more about Mahalo Sailing Adventures. I'm going to have to check them out and check out their Instagram, but I think this sounds like a lovely trip. I don't think the price sounds too bad. I'm not sure if that is in euros or USD. It doesn't say right here, but I'm thinking this is a US based company, so it's probably in USD. So, what do you think, everyone? Have you heard of sailing these canals in these canal boats? They're usually really long and skinny, and the picture of the room on this canal boat looks really comfy and really cozy and clean and beautiful. So I just think it sounds like a great retreat. Let me know if you have ever gone on anything like this. I would love to hear about it. But it is on the top of my bucket list, like I've mentioned. I don't know if I want to do the French canals, the English canals. Oh, I didn't even know there was Irish canals and Amsterdam canals. Oh, I guess one a summer for the next 4 summers would suit me just fine. But let's be honest, most of us attack our bucket list with the same intensity that we do our LinkedIn profiles. We want to conquer the experience. We see a retreat as a mountain to be climbed or a curriculum to be mastered. We look at a retreat schedule and think we want to see like a 6 a.m. meditation that leads into a 9 a.m. tense hike, followed by a light lunch and a 2 p.m. breathwork course. But here's the truth. If you are performing your retreat, are you really retreating? You've just moved your office and your stress level to a prettier place. You're still operating in a high cortisol doing. You're essentially just checking boxes in yoga pants. We need to distinguish between a retreat that is entertaining you and a retreat that is enriching you. Entertainment is external. It's the fancy excursions and the packed itinerary that keeps your brain occupied so that you don't have to be alone with your thoughts. Enrichment, however, happens in the gaps. It happens in the nothingness. In the industry, we call this the void. Most people are terrified of it. I know I personally have a sense of dread about it. We think if we're not busy, we aren't getting our money's worth. But the meat of the bucket list experience is found in the stillness between the activities. This is where the transformation actually lives. And it is the difference between a tourist and a seeker. We are living in a world designed to keep us in a loop of constant input. Our brains are fried from dopamine hits, from news, notifications, all the noise. So when we plan our bucket list on more, we are just feeding into that same monster. A true withdrawal, the kind that we have been talking about, is truly a dopamine detox for the soul. It's the moment you realize the most profound thing you can witness isn't a famous monument or scheduled performance, but the sound of your own breath and the clarity of your own thoughts. If you have ever come home from a vacation and felt like you needed another vacation, And I know you have because we have all been there. Hit that like button because you know exactly what I'm talking about. It means you have been doing the active bucket list, and it is time for a change. In the world of high-end design, we often talk about negative space, the empty area around an object that actually gives it value. The same is true for a bucket list life. We have to start looking at our boundaries as the architecture for our peace. If you looked at the most expensive retreats in the world, places like Eremito in Italy, which is literally a digital detox monastery, or the high-end silent retreats in the Himalayas, they aren't selling amenities. They are actually selling exclusions. They are charging you for the luxury of what is not there. No Wi-Fi, no cell service, no mirrors, sometimes no speaking. They understand that the no is the most valuable thing they are offering. And we often think that we have to travel to a certain zip code to feel like we have escaped. But I want to propose a different idea. The boundary is the destination. You can create the architecture of a retreat anywhere if you are willing to build a wall around your time. Think about it. Why does it feel so good to be on a plane? It's because for a few hours, a no is enforced for you. You can't be reached. You can't do anything but sit there. And you shouldn't have to pay $2,000 for a flight just for the relief of being unavailable. The goal of the art of the opt-out is to learn how to build that plane, the monastery in our own lives. There is that FOMO, that fear of missing out. If we say no or if we withdraw, we think we might miss out. We think we might lose our edge or place at the conversation. But the most high value people I know are the ones who are the most difficult to reach. Am I right? They understand that access is a limited resource. When you build the architecture of no, you're not being rude. You're being protective of the very thing that makes you valuable, your attention. Thank you for your attention. A retreat is simply a structured way to practice that protection. Everything needs a little bit of practice. And then it turns into a training ground for the rest of your life. And if it only teaches you that the world won't stop spinning if you don't answer that email in the first 48 hours. If you're someone who struggles with always on syndrome, make sure you hit subscribe and follow the show. We're going to be talking a lot about it and how to build those walls so you don't feel guilty. There is a law in physics and in life. Nature abhors a vacuum. Don't we all? When you create an empty space, something wants to fill it, just like my refrigerator. Take out the milk, I go to put it back, and someone has put something in its place. Ah. Most of our lives are so cluttered with the ordinary, the errands, the scrolls, the small talk, that there is literally no physical room in your brain for a breakthrough to land. When we opt out, we are essentially creating a vacuum. We are clearing the landing strip. If your mind is a crowded room, the extraordinary, that big life-changing idea, that deep sense of peace, that creative download is standing right at the door, but they cannot find a seat in your brain. By retreating, you're actually clearing all of the furniture out of the room. You're making it possible for the extraordinary to come in. And we often think that the breakthroughs come during the grind. I know I have thought of this a lot, and it's because I like to work hard and I like what comes of it. We think if we just work harder, we'll solve the problem. But if you talk to world-class visionaries and creatives, they'll tell you that their bucket list ideas didn't come at their desk. I'm smirking because this is so true for me. These things come to you in the shower. Yes. Tell me if you've had that happen in the comments, please. I love these stories. They come on a long walk or they come on retreat. This is what I call a high frequency download. It makes me shiver just to think about it. It only happens when your brain waves shift out of survival mode and into receptive mode. This is the strategic ROI of a retreat. And I know you've heard me say this before, but you aren't just resting. You are recalibrating your frequencies so that you can hear the ideas that are usually drowned out by the static of your daily life. I often think about how they say, don't pick up your phone or your computer the moment you wake up. Give your mind a moment to think about the day, think about the night you just had. Let's take a brain moment for yourself. But really, the goal of finding this extraordinary space isn't just to have a great week and then go back to your old cluttered life. The goal of a true bucket list experience is to bring a piece of that space back with you. It's about realizing that the feeling of the extraordinary is actually your natural state. The ordinary is just the fog that covers it up. When you leave a retreat, you shouldn't just have a souvenir. You should have a new standard for what your mental environment feels like. You should be able to recognize when the ordinary is starting to crowd out the extraordinary again and know exactly how to reach for that no to clear that space once more. We would love to hear from you in the comments. When was the last time you cleared the room and let the extraordinary come in? When it actually landed? What did you have to say no to make that happen? But here's the catch. You can't just wait for the extraordinary to happen in the middle of your grocery run or between the back-to-back Zoom calls. Sometimes you have to physically move your body to a place that was designed to hold that space for you. And that brings me to something very special that we have been working on. If you have been listening to this and thinking, Kelly, I need that architecture, I need that no enforced time for me, then I want to invite you to join me in the Dominican Republic in January 2027. We are heading to a private sanctuary specifically designed to practice the art of the opt-out. And it's everything we have talked about here today. It is 8 days and 7 nights at a beautiful luxury eco retreat in the Dominican Republic, in the beautiful jungle, with the beach just a few minutes away. From the top of the resort, you can actually see the ocean and hear the waves. It is such a beautiful location where we will be stargazing and having some moon joy. Did you hear the astronaut say copy moon joy on the Artemis 2 mission? I swear, I want to tattoo that on my arm. And we have definitely added that to the name of our gathering on the full moon that Friday night. It will be spectacular. We've handled all of the logistics. We have handled all of the nourishment. And we have handled the environment, so all you have to do is show up and let the extraordinary rush in. We would love one of those spots to be yours. And if last winter was so cold and you can't even think about a cold winter like that again, know that you will want to be with us in January in sunny, beautiful Dominican Republic. Link in the show notes to find out all about it. Let's turn your withdrawal into the biggest breakthrough yet. Before we go, I want to give you a heads up about next week's episode. We are moving from the internal boundary to the external blueprint. We are talking about the architecture of awe. I'm going to show you why the stone and the light and the very walls of a retreat space aren't just there for the gram. They are actually designed to change your brain chemistry. If you have ever walked into a space and immediately felt your shoulders drop, next week you will find out why. But as we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with one final thought. A bucket list isn't just a list of things you want to see and do before you die. It's a list of ways you want to feel while you're alive. Am I right? And sometimes the most bucket list thing you can do is give yourself the grace to stop running. Even if you're going to join me in the Dominican Republic or building your own architecture of no, right where you are at this week, remember, the world can wait. Not all burdens are yours to carry, and you can be the destination. I'm Kelly Morgan Murley, and this has been Bucket List Retreats, the podcast. Thank you for spending this time with me. And if you enjoyed our deep dive today, don't forget to share this episode with a friend who needs a reminder to unplug. And as always, friends, keep retreating, keep exploring, and we will see you on the next adventure. Bye-bye.